Hi everybody. Here we are in Flash, and I'm using Flash CC 2015, and we're here to begin doing our first animations. So let's get to it. I just launched Flash, and I want to say File New. I guess I did, and I want to choose ActionScript 3.0. And what we have now is a basic ActionScript 3.0 stage. The size happens to be 550 by 400 pixels. The color is white if you look over on the right here. And by default it's set up for 24 frames a second. All of these are scrubbable. It means you can click and drag with your mouse and change the values, or you can double click and type a new value in. We're going to leave the default frame rate and size for the time being. On the left are our regular tools here that we would see in Illustrator, the vector tools for the most part, except for a few added ones for animating, like a bone tool, for instance. If we get into animating a walking stick figure, for instance. A type tool, a pen tool, a rectangle, an oval, a polystar tool. And down at the bottom here we have our stroke and our fill color. Okay. Right now I have it set up for a black stroke and a red fill. So I'm going to click the polystar tool and click and drag a simple pentagon shape, and I have the strokes on the right here. You can see it's set to 8.2 pixels, and we have a solid fill. One of the first things I need to do is group this object. I'm going to click and drag with the selection tool, this top left first tool here. Letter V is the command to get to it, the shortcut. So if I hit Control G, that will group it together. So as I move it around now, everything moves with it. The fill and the stroke move together. It's a peculiarity of the Flash at any rate. Good. So let's just do a quick simple motion tween, where what that means is that we have a starting position here. We have an ending position here, and it's going to go from this frame to this frame in 24 frames. Imagine we were to draw this in a blank flip book, and on each of 24 pages we drew a next item, the same thing, just move it a little bit, draw it again, move it a little bit, draw it again. Okay, and by the time you got to the 24th page, we're all the way across to this side. Now if you were to take that book and flip it over the course of 1 second, 24 pages in 1 second, you would get the impression of movement. It's our kind of human condition that our eyes have a little memory as the eye records the object. And the signal gets transmitted to the brain and we make sense of it. We're on to the next frame. So at 24 frames a second we have the idea of continuous motion. So Flash gives us an easy way to automate this, and if I right click on this, up here is the timeline, I didn't mention that. If we right click on the first frame of the timeline and create a motion tween, it'll kick it out 25 frames automatically for us, and then we can play it. This is our timeline, and we are in layer 1 right now, and these are frames. So 20 frames, 45 frames. So for instance, 50 frames means at 24 frames per second, that would be 2.1 seconds. If 48 frames would be exactly 2 seconds. Alright, let's see what happens. If I right click, create a motion tween on this first frame, and it's saying that I need to convert it to a symbol first, and I forgot to tell you that, but that's say OK and it'll do it for you. And now that it's in symbol form, here it is, it created 24 frames for us, and I'm going to drag this over to the right, and notice that it created, each frame left a little dot behind here, and this signifies that we actually have an animation ready to play. I can test it just by hitting the Enter key and see how it's working. Okay, this is as simple as it gets. To open it in its own new window as a SWIFT file that'll continuously loop, you can hit Control Enter, and there it is, Untitled number 5 SWIFT. So there it is. Okay, that's step number 1 here. I'm going to hit pause. Okay, the one issue with this is that it plays awfully quickly. Control Enter again. It kind of zooms by. What if we'd like to drag out this motion to 2 seconds? So let me close that. And I'm going to take the timeline. Notice if I hover over frame 24 here, it gets to be a double arrow, and I'm going to left click and drag, and let's bring it out to 48. That would be 2 seconds. And now when I hit Control Enter, notice that it takes 2 full seconds to get across this stage. Okay, so you can decide how long it should play, how fast the animation should play by dragging this out. It's good to keep it at 24 frames a second for the time being. We could lower the frames per second as another way of stretching time. Let's say we put it to 12 instead of 24, then it would be 2 seconds also, but it would be a bit choppier and you would see the choppy movement. Okay, let me close this. Another nice feature is you can click on this path here and drag it around and describe how your object is going to move during the animation. So I just created this curve, and it's going to begin now in the lower left and end in the upper right with a little curve to it. So if I hit Enter just to test that, excellent, and Control Enter, let's play that movie. Okay, easy enough. Okay, here's another cool thing to try, is to transform this. What if we could make this grow larger as it neared the end of its path? So if I click on the last frame here, and click, and then right over here, this little square with the boxes around it, this is the transform panel. If I click on that, and we can change the width and the height here. What if I scaled that up by scrubbing, or I could type a number, let's say 200. Notice that's all skewed out. That's 196, that's fine. And do that to the height as well, to try to maintain its size close enough. So next we'll just hit Enter and see how that plays. Enter. It gives us a sort of a zoom in, three-dimensional look to it. That's kind of cool. And what about rotating? What if I gave it a full well, you know, like 47 degrees in the case of this pentagon, and then hit Enter? It would maintain kind of a very interesting look along that curve. Okay. We could rotate it several times, 330 times. We'll give it a spinning look here. So you can experiment with that, rotating and transforming it larger. Okay, we're getting towards 10 minutes, so I'm going to wrap it up here, and we'll keep going with some more interesting effects in the next video.